Hi everyone.
Hi. Now this week's recipe video is a bit different, but I think it was Joy on Instagram asked if we would show how we make bone broth in our new baby, our Instantpot. Because we do have some instructions on our website, but that's using a slow cooker, which is very easy. So I'll link that below if you do have a slow cooker. You can certainly do that, but it just takes a long time.
And the instructions are similar, but you're just doing it over a much longer time. The Instant Pot just speeds up that process by a lot.
Yeah, so it does still take a little bit of time in the Instant Pot, but it's hands off. So you're not having to do anything, but it takes maybe 5 hours, I guess, by the time you include coming up to pressure and the pressure releasing and whatnot. So the instructions, I kind of loosely based this on, I'll link below, it's from the website's called thekitchen.com. So I'll link all their details below, but this is like the middle range Instant Pot, and I've got about 2 kilos of chicken bones that I have roasted in the oven for about an hour. This just really helps with the flavor, I think. So we've got some chicken necks and some like wing nibble things, are they called?
They're kind of like wings that have been broken into the drumette and they're kind of flat.
Yes, so you do want your pieces of chicken to have like bones and ligaments and cartilage and all that sort of stuff in it to get the best out of your broth.
We prefer chicken just because we prefer the flavour.
Yeah.
You can do this with any of your favourite protein, beef, you could do a seafood one if you like. We just have always preferred the chicken flavour, right?
Yeah, and so the chicken necks, we just get them at the supermarket. They come in like a kind of kilo thing. You can also sometimes buy chicken carcasses, which they're just left over from when they break down the chickens as well, so they're like the most cost-effective options.
We haven't found the carcasses at our Woolworths for ages.
Oh yeah, I feel like since maybe coronavirus.
So you had roasted those?
Yeah, so I roasted them in the oven for about an hour. That's just for flavour purposes, it's not essential. And then I just poured all the juices and everything in there. And then the only thing I'm going to add for this first time, so we're going to bring it up to pressure twice. So the first time I'm just going to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. You want to make sure you get the one with the mother in it, which is like the lurgy bit at the bottom.
We usually buy the Bragg's one, but this was just one at the supermarket, was it?
Yeah. So I just add a splash of that. That is supposed to help with bringing out the minerals and everything
out of the
from
bones.
the bones. And then I'm just going to add filtered water up to the line on the inside of the pot. Where is it?
Over there.
So this is just like the little insert in it. It's got a line where it says like pressure cooker maximum. So I just fill it just below that with filtered water, and then I'm going to pop it onto pressure cook for 2 hours. So it does take a bit longer than 2 hours because it takes a little bit of time to come up to pressure. Then the timer will go on. It'll go for 2 hours. And then you just want the pressure to naturally release.
Yeah, so there's 2 options in the Instant Pot. You can do a quick release pressure, and that gives you access to the things in there straight away, or you do the slow release. And for the broth, we just do slow release, right?
Yes, yep. And then what I'm going to do is add, so after we've done the 2 hours and it's released and we open it back up, I'm just going to add an onion, a couple of cloves of garlic, and maybe some herbs out of the garden. And then I'll bring it back up to pressure again for an hour and let it natural release. And then we'll just strain it and it will be good to go. So I think the reason why you don't put the vegetable options in at the start is because you're pressure cooking it. It can get bitter. I haven't experienced it because I've only done it this way. And I'm sure there's other ways of doing it. You probably could do a completely different version. This is just what we've been doing, and we've been getting really gelatinous broth. So we never were able to get that successfully.
It's surprising because, as we mentioned earlier, the process is quite similar. We've used the same bones, we've used the apple cider vinegar in the slow cooker versus the Instant Pot, the pressure cooker. the consistency is much more gelatinous from the Instant Pot than what we ever got out of the slow cooker. So
Yes.
that's an interesting point.
Yeah, and this same method would work with any like pressure cooker you have. This is just the one that we have. So I'm going to take it into the kitchen and we'll pop the water in and turn it on. So you can see the line, there's like a line there that says like pressure cooker max. I just do it a tiny bit under that. And we're just going to go with pressure cooker and then up to 2 hours, so this could take a while. Okay, so it's on now, but it won't start counting down the 2 hours until it comes up to pressure. So it come up to pressure, then it will be 2 hours, and then we'll let it release, and then we'll add in our onions. Okay, so we've just finished the 2 hours of the first pressure cook. So now this is just going to start naturally releasing the pressure. So we're really waiting for this little silver part here to go flush. So it'll fall right back down. Then we know that the pressure has been completely released, and we'll open it up and pop our onions and whatnot in. Okay, so we can see here this is completely dropped back down, which means the pressure has all been released, so we can open it up. So we're going to add in our onion and our garlic, and also just some parsley out of the garden. And then I'm going to put it on to pressure cook again, and this second time I'm just going to do it for 1 hour. Okay,
It's done. It's felt like it's taken forever.
we've had our second hour done and the pressure's released naturally. So now I'm just going to undo it. Okay, now this is the messy, slightly messy part. So what I'm going to do is kind of ladle it into, we just normally store it in these glass jars that we have left over from things, but I do like to strain it because you can get little kind of gritty bits in it. So I've just got a piece of kind of cheesecloth that I got from a kitchen shop, but you could use like a clean sort of Chuck's cloth or something.
And we used that for ages.
Yeah, so I've just got a funnel inside my jar and then my cloth in there, and then I just ladle the broth into the jar.
So roughly how long do you think it keeps in the fridge? Like a couple of weeks? Because it doesn't last long in our house.
I mean,
so.
I think probably I would keep it in the fridge for a week.
Yeah.
And
then
it
put it in
does
the
get
freezer.
like, kind of once it goes into the fridge, the fat separates out and you get like a fat layer on
Like
the
a
top,
cap.
which kind of seals it in to me. So it probably would last a bit longer. But normally we keep it for up to a week in the fridge, and then if we haven't used it in that time, I would then just pop it into the freezer. But I always make sure I leave a lot of room at the top of the jars. This isn't working very well today.
Do you want me to hold it?
I leave room at the jar so I never fill it completely up, because if you do want to freeze something in glass, it'll expand. So you don't want that to break, because we've had that happen before.
I'm pretty sure we've had frozen bone broth or something through the freezer at one point.
So you can see you get like a really nice clear liquid. Actually, you can see like there's a bit of fat on the top already. I normally like scoop out the fat and put it in the bin, but that's personal choice if you want to include a bit of that. I don't really like drinking it. So what do we do with broth? That's what we get asked questions a lot.
One of the main things we've been doing lately is just having like a small cup of it, maybe about that much in a mug. each kind of night before dinner. But we also cook with it a lot.
Yeah, so anytime you're making like soups or stews, or a recipe calls for stock in it, or even if it called for water, you could use this instead, and it's only going to enhance the flavour and kind of enhance the nutrients. As you might have noticed, I didn't put any salt in the broth because if I am using it in cooking, I don't want it to make the dish too salty. I want to have control over that. So when we drink it, when we have it like in the evening before dinner, if we're having some, then we will definitely add salt to it, and it really does make it taste nicer.
A lot nicer, for sure.
And yeah, that's why we prefer chicken, because we prefer the taste of that if we're just drinking it. I don't really like the flavour
of beef.
Yeah. So as I'm going with this,
maybe one more.
It gets the muslin starts to get like a layer of stuff, and it's harder to go through. So I just give it a rinse under the sink and then keep on going. So yeah, I think have we answered everything?
I think so. So like we said, you can do it in the slow cooker, but if you've got a pressure cooker, it definitely is so much quicker.
Yeah, you don't have to wake up in the morning to your house
We
smelling like broth, because it's a bit like fart.
It just doesn't.
It's not bad, but it's not a nice smell. But yes, if you've got a pressure cooker, definitely give this a try. It's so good for you, and yeah, so handy to have to, you know, add nutrients and like flavour to your cooking. But if you have a slow cooker, check out our instructions for a slow cooker, or you could do the slow cooker method on the stove as well.
Also, we will pop a link in the description below for where to buy the Instantpot. You can buy it on Amazon.
Yes.
You can also buy other branded pressure cookers in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you've liked this recipe, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Bye.